stereotypically attractive. I don't even know what to call it. Like brown M&M's high heels will be slightly lower. it and Tucker believes that this is part of the big culture war that he thinks is being fought, and he's angry that brown M&M won't be as attractive to him. This is beyond belief. Take a look at this.
Finally tonight, we don't usually give story tips to NPR, but here's a story they might want to cover pretty soon and doubtless will. M&M's, the candy company, has just announced that it's redesigning its cartoon characters to be more gender inclusive. Bet you didn't think M&Ms were pushing intolerance, but they were. They've been changed. You're seeing the changes right now on your screen. The green M&M, you will notice, is no longer wearing sexy boots. Now she's wearing sensible sneakers.
That's going to make it really, really tough for Tucker to enjoy looking at these images, because it's just not attractive enough to him.
Almost all of the left-wing commentators on YouTube and the blue check marks on Twitter and other progressive voices that I know have attacked Tucker Carlson for having the audacity to complain about the new change from M&M. So there was a person within the company which looked at the green M&M, saw her wearing high heels, and said, that is unacceptable. That is grotesque. We live in a dynamic, progressive world, and people cannot stand for an M&M with high heels. So they made the change. And this is normal. This is progressive. This is healthy thinking. None of the progressive and leftist voices have mocked this individual within the company, which looked at the M&M and said, oh my God, this is too much. It's too lewd. We need to cover her up, change her boots, make her more androgynous. No one complained. You know when they complain? They complain when Tucker Carlson says, maybe things were good the way they were before. So the change is good. The change is progress. But when you complain about the change, that's the problem. So I guess like all these left-wing commentators, like Mr. Pac-Man and many others, they don't like ridiculous people. They don't like it when a famous person is picking on something that is quite trivial, and they like to call it out. They like to point out the ridiculousness whenever they see it, right? So take, for example, Mr. Peter Dinklage, a famous actor who managed to become wealthy by playing the role of a dwarf in the Game of Thrones adaptation. And the fans, because they watched the show, they ended up making him a millionaire. And they made him a celebrity. Everyone knows who Peter Dinklage is. And Peter Dinklage is now mocking the fans. He's ridiculing the fans. He is saying that, oh, why do you guys care about the ending? It's just about a show with dragons. So I don't see Pac-Man, I don't see any of the other left-wing people coming up and saying, hey, are you okay, Peter? Are you fine? Like, are you okay? Like, if the people from Hollywood are forcing you to say things like blink twice if you're in danger, why are you attacking the people that made you a millionaire? Why are you going out? Like, if you didn't think that the show, which made you have millions of dollars, is important, why aren't you donating that wealth? Why are you taking so much money from a show that's about dragons and fantasy and shouldn't make sense anyway? So, no, apparently that's fine. When Peter Dinklage gaslights the fans, and he says that the only reason people were dissatisfied with the ending from Game of Thrones is because they expected to see the pretty white people go off in the sunset. Peter Dinklage being white himself, by the way. No one calls him out. You don't see Mr. Pac-Man say, hey, wait a minute, Peter. Didn't the show actually end with the pretty white people flying in the sunset? Didn't Bran stand on the throne? Didn't Peter Dinklage have a good ending with his character Tyrion? Didn't Sansa Stark have a good ending? Wasn't the pretty white people that won? In fact, My Sunday was the actual one that didn't get to see the ending. And you had her lover, He also went back kind of angsty, kind of salty. He returned to his city and left Westeros, and you have the Dothraki going back. Like almost all non-white people actually had a bad ending in Game of Thrones, if you think about it. Contrary to what Peter Dinklage is saying. No one calls him out, right? But the reason I bring up Peter Dinklage is that, again, he said, it's just a show with dragons. Why do you care? Why are you so angry? He actually starts cursing at Disney because they're making Snow White, which is a fairy tale. So, because Disney was offering the role for other people like Peter Dinklage to be able to climb the ladder and become famous, playing the role of dwarves, that's unacceptable, is it? That is not very progressive. So, again, no one is calling him out when that's happening, when Disney is remaking Snow White for ridiculous reason in order not to upset Peter Dinklage. That's fine. That is progressive, right? But when Tucker Carlson is complaining about also some trivial stuff, no, ha ha ha, how ridiculous, complaining about a commercial, ha ha ha. Learn to complain about Snow White, you bigot. Learn to be progressive. Complain about the things that matter. So obviously, these left-wing activists and voices and commentators, they know what they're doing. They are very manipulative and selective with their outrage, and they pretend they don't know what's happening. They pretend that, there is no culture war. Yes, no, I mean, sure, Walt Disney is changing Snow White, which, by the way, used to be Walt's favorite story. They're changing that in order to please Peter Dinklage, not the market, because if they would have left the story the way it would have sold, I guarantee to you. But no, they have to change it to make it more progressive. So no one is complaining about that. No one is complaining when M&M's is changing their commercial in order to... Why? To make it for a more dynamic, progressive world. So if you don't agree with the Mars Corporation... If you don't agree with the decision from Mars, the multi-billion-dollar corporation, then you are static, you are regressive, and Mr. David Pacman and all the other leftists are going to laugh at you. They're going to be like, ho, 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 you silly person. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Oh, ho, 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 ho. By the way, isn't it interesting that Mars and Nestle is facing child slavery lawsuits in the United States? What are you saying about this, Mr. Pacman? Do you have any comment on it? Are we getting any comment from the left-leaning community? Is anyone having a problem with this? Is this okay? Or is it like if they just change a commercial, everything is fine now? I guess this is how it works in Wokeland. This is what the left ideology has become in the United States. If you have a corporation that does unspeakable things, as long as they're saying the correct message and they're upsetting conservatives, then they're the good people, right? They're the decent ones. They're the ones you need to be protecting. I find this fascinating. And you know why right-wingers get upset? Maybe Tucker Carlson did a bad job at explaining. But it's not just the M&M. It's pretty much like the whole woke culture. I would have to make an entire channel dedicated to talk about it. But it's the very idea that if you're like a straight young lad, like a teenager that's straight, everything you like is wrong. So if you happen to like Tila from the previous version of He-Man, she's wrong, okay? Because she's got feminine features, she's fitting those gender stereotypes, she's using makeup. She is wrong. You need this Tila instead. You need this Tila, which when someone photoshopped her, she looks like this. And I don't know what to tell you, but that's not a woman. That's a Democrat, baby. However, what companies are suggesting, that is what the correct young man likes. That is what the decent, moral, upstanding, progressive citizen of the multilateral, anti-racist American utopia desires. Because that's the message that's coming from all these companies. Like, you are wrong. Like, you are. The world has moved past that. If you happen to like wishy-washy ladies like the Japanese animator like to draw, you are problematic. You are inherently problematic. You are sexist. You are misogynistic. You are encouraging rape culture? Do you want me to keep advocating for leftist ideology so you can understand why people are upset? Because it's an insult. It's an indirect insult. It's pretty much like if you want to be who you're born as and you just want to be yourself and you like the things that teenage boy likes and you're a teenager, you're wrong. The world has moved past you. You are not dynamic. You are not progressive. You are a regressive twat. That is the message. That's why conservatives are upset. And it's not just conservatives, by the way. It's people in the center. It's even left-leaning people. It's just the far left that think this is okay. That you can have ideologues infiltrating multi-trillion-dollar corporations so that you can subvert them and make their advertisement in order to pray the patriarchal gaze away. Absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that you're using companies that are involved in these types of candles, shame on you. Shame on you. You're not a progressive. You're a damn bigot that's supporting the exploitation of people and is happy when companies are hiding that exploitation behind a very beautiful smile and a very progressive ideology while their actions are completely anything but.